You know that sound? That constant, grinding, relentless drone of a diesel generator? For so many farmers, that's not just noise. That's the sound of money just draining away gallon by gallon. It's a loud, smelly, non-stop reminder that your entire operation, your livelihood, is dependent on something completely outside of your control. For thousands of farmers, from the vast cornfields of the Midwest to the green rolling hills of the UK, it's a sound that's tied to the quiet dread of opening a stack of bills, watching global energy costs shoot up while your local grid flickers and dies at the worst possible times. It's the feeling of being on a razor's edge, where one more fuel price hike, one more blackout right in the middle of irrigating a thirsty crop could be the difference between breaking even and losing it all. It's a feeling of profound vulnerability. But what if the one thing that relentlessly beats down on your fields, the powerful, unending sun, could actually be the very thing that saves your farm? What if you could turn your biggest variable into your most reliable asset? Let's call him John. He's not just one person, he's a composite, an embodiment of farmers everywhere. His hands are rough, calloused from decades of work, and his family's roots in the land go back generations. But his spirit, once as resilient as the oldest oak on his property, is getting worn down by forces he has no power over. Farming has always been a battle against the weather, a gamble against nature. But these days, the biggest and most unpredictable storms are economic. A lot of farms, especially those out in the country, exist on the fragile fringes of the electrical grid. The power supply isn't just shaky, it's a liability. Outages aren't a mere annoyance, they're a direct and catastrophic threat. Can you imagine the sheer panic of your irrigation pumps failing in the middle of a blistering heat wave, watching your crops wither in the sun, or the ventilation in a poultry barn quitting on a sweltering afternoon, putting thousands of birds at risk? These are the real, tangible fears that keep farmers staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. The gut-wrenching stress of knowing you're just one grid failure away from a potential disaster. So what's the solution? For many, it's turning to those diesel generators, but that's a costly, messy fix. It's a band-aid on a gaping wound. Some farms burn through thousands upon thousands of dollars a month just to keep the lights on and the pumps running. It's a financial black hole that makes it impossible to invest in the future, to expand the herd, to buy that new tractor, or even to plan for the next season with any real confidence. The farm, which for generations was a symbol of stability and independence, instead becomes a source of non-stop financial and emotional strain. For a long time, solar panels seemed like a solution for tech billionaires in Silicon Valley, not for working farmers with dirt under their fingernails. For John, the very idea was met with a deep, healthy dose of skepticism, the kind of practicality that's baked into you from years of hard-won experience. And then there was the land itself. When every single acre is precious, designated for grazing or for crops, the idea of covering it with glass and metal panels felt like a waste of productive soil. It just seemed like another out-of-touch, fashionable trend that didn't understand the reality of farming. The mud, the machinery, the razor-thin margins. It felt like a massive gamble he simply couldn't afford to take. But the diesel bills kept climbing, and the grid kept proving it couldn't be trusted. The pressure was mounting to find a real, lasting solution. His aha moment wasn't a single flash of lightning. It was a slow dawn built from a collection of different stories, articles, and data points that started to paint a new picture. It was hearing about a dairy farmer in Somerset who slashed his monthly electric bill from a staggering $2,500 to just $74 after installing solar panels. It was learning about government programs designed specifically for people like him, like the Rural Energy for America program, REAP, which provides grants and loan guarantees to help farmers and rural businesses afford exactly these kinds of projects. He started to see that solar wasn't just another bill to be paid, it was an asset to be owned. With a potential return on investment that can hit 20% or more, it's a smarter, more profitable investment than many other farm improvements. And he realized it wasn't about losing precious land. It was about making the land he had work even harder for him. That was the turning point. The wall of skepticism started to crumble, replaced by a foundation of calculated, cautious hope. So he made the call. It was a leap of faith, absolutely, but one backed by solid research and a desperate need for a fundamental change. The installation itself felt like watching the farm shift into a new era. The quiet, efficient work of the installers, their precise movements and advanced technology, was a world away from the constant grimy roar of the old generator. And then the moment of truth arrived. The switch was flipped. The difference wasn't just noticeable, it was immediate and profound. The farm's old enemies, the unreliable grid that held him hostage, and those back-breaking fuel costs that bled him dry, were suddenly neutralized. In their place was a powerful new ally, true energy independence. The sound of the irrigation pumps was no longer a sound of money draining away. It was a sound of absolute security. They ran like clockwork even on the hottest days, delivering water to the crops exactly when they were needed most. In the barns, having consistent, reliable power for fans and cooling systems meant healthier, less stressed, and more productive animals. The financial relief was a game changer. With the farm generating most of its own power, energy bills plummeted. The money saved wasn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It was real, tangible freedom. It was the freedom to finally buy better equipment, to invest in higher quality seed, or even to grow the business. One Welsh dairy farmer who made the switch was finally able to expand his herd and buy more cows. Direct, measurable growth paid for by his solar savings. The farm was no longer just a place of hard work. It was a place of smart work, all powered by clean, reliable, and ultimately free energy. But the changes didn't just stop at the electric meter. John quickly discovered that harnessing solar energy had benefits that touched and improved every single part of his operation. This is all part of a revolutionary practice now known as agrivoltaics, the brilliant combination of agriculture and solar photovoltaic power generation. This wasn't just about sticking panels on some forgotten, dusty corner of the property. This was about using the same plot of land for two purposes at once, supercharging its value. By raising the solar panels high off the ground, crops could actually be grown directly underneath them. This created a unique and beneficial microclimate. The shade from the panels protected delicate, high-value crops like lettuce, spinach, and berries from getting scorched by the intense midday sun. This shade also dramatically reduced water evaporation from the soil, meaning less water was needed for irrigation, a huge saving in its own right. In some cases, this protective environment has even boosted crop yields. And this revolution isn't just for crops. A first-generation farmer found her way into the business by grazing her flock of sheep under vast solar arrays. The sheep take care of all the mowing and vegetation control, which drastically cuts down on maintenance costs for the solar company. In return, the panels provide constant shade and shelter for the animals. It's a perfect symbiotic partnership that turns a solar farm into a thriving, productive ranch. It's a win-win-win for the solar operator, the farmer, and the flock. On top of all that, the farm was now a shining example of sustainability. By generating its own clean electricity, its carbon footprint was slashed. A powerful story to tell customers who increasingly care about where their food comes from. Plus, it opened up entirely new ways to make money. Many farmers can sell their excess power back to the grid through programs called net metering, turning every extra sunny day into another source of passive income. The farm doesn't just consume power anymore, it produces it. John's story isn't a one-off fairy tale, it's a practical, repeatable blueprint for where the entire agricultural industry is headed. That journey from being on the knife's edge of failure to building a stable, profitable, and growing future is entirely possible. It all starts by taking control of your farm's single biggest expense, energy, and turning it into your greatest asset. If you're a farmer who is tired of being at the mercy of rising costs and a grid you can't depend on, it's time to see what solar can do for you. But don't just take our word for it. We want you to see the numbers for yourself. That's why we've built a complete resource hub at solar-switzerland.ch. Go to solarswitzerland.ch right now. There you'll find a free solar potential calculator specifically for your farm. You'll find clear, easy to understand guides on government incentives like the REAP grant, and the 30% federal tax credit. You can see exactly how they work and how to apply. We have case studies and testimonials from farmers who have already made the switch. Stop letting your profits get burned up by the utility company. Stop gambling on the stability of the grid. Take the first, most important step towards energy independence today. Visit solarswitzerland.ch and take back control.